Fantasy football is about choices. Will it be James's expertise?
He's going to be the only guy on the field to get the ball. He's a 3-down workhorse to get the ball.
Or Chris's insights?
But even if they trade him, I still don't think they're going to become a run-first team.
The choice is in your hands. We give you the option.
Welcome to the Option Podcast. I'm your host, Nick, and for those of you who don't know who we are yet, let me just break it down for you. James and Chris, our option analysts, will be given topics from me, and then they'll go and debate them. And although in these debates sometimes they'll agree, most of the time they disagree. But between these debates and our social media is what's going to help you guys win your fantasy football championships. Now let's head into our first episode today, and where we're talking all about running backs. We're answering some of the biggest questions we have heading into our fantasy football seasons. And our first topic of the day, we're heading to Atlanta, where we're talking about running back Mike Davis. Can we trust Mike Davis as Atlanta's RB1? James, I know you have this guy on your team. I know you like him. What do you think?
Well, welcome to the podcast, everybody, and this is all correct. I do have him on a few of my teams, and I do like him this season. And to answer your question, it's very simple. He is the RB1 for Atlanta. Why is he the RB1 for Atlanta? Well, there's no one else there. He's the only one. So his backups, I believe, are Quadri Olison and Javian Hawkins. I know rookie. He was not drafted, Javian Hawkins. I know we had him a little bit higher when we were talking about rankings wise in the past, but went undrafted, so he's there. He might be a little bit of a problem, but I'm not too worried. Did you guys see the picture of Mike Davis floating around with those tree trunk thighs? I mean, come on, are you not scared of those things?
Every running back has tree trunk thighs. I can give you a whole list of running backs.
These were massive. I mean, these were huge. They were 3 of our heads combined. It was crazy.
That doesn't make a difference.
All right, okay, you're right. That's fine. We won't go by pictures and by size because everyone has that. Nick, why don't you give me some of the stats that Mr. Davis had last season while he was running for Carolina?
Yeah, for sure. In 12 games that he started, he had 642 rushing yards, 6 rushing TDs. He also added 59 receptions for 373 receiving yards, and as well had 2 touchdowns in the air as well. This gave him an average of 11.8 fantasy points per game.
Fantastic. I love that. I think those were great stats. He filled in really well for CMC. I mean, he obviously isn't CMC, and that's fine. But another reason why I think he's going to be so good is because he's got a new coach in Arthur Smith. And Arthur Smith's coming from Tennessee. While he was in Tennessee, he coached some guy by the name of, I can't remember, Derrick Henry. Helped him to 2,000 yards last year.
I think Derrick Henry.
I'm not saying he's Derrick Henry. I'm not saying he's Derrick Henry.
I don't know if the coaching had much to do with it, but all right.
It was a little bit of his play
easy to run in that
there,
scheme. Sure, yeah, I'll take that.
But I'm assuming he's going to now take that scheme and give that to something for Mike Davis to run.
Who's not Derrick Henry?
Who's not? I said already he's not Derrick Henry.
I'm just
I understand that. So I get that. To the listeners, he's not Derrick Henry. He's not a top 10 running back. I'm not saying that today. I'm just saying he's the lead run back in Atlanta. But on top of that, Julio just left, which now just opened up a bunch of targets that are going to have to go to a bunch of people, which you saw that he had 59 receptions last season. That could mean he's going to get a few more targets.
How many targets did Derrick Henry catch in Arthur Smith's system? Not many. There's not many passing targets to the running back in that system.
Derrick Henry's not really a pass catching back.
Doesn't matter. It's the system.
That is. Mike Davis proved that he can catch the ball as a pass catching back. So that means that they could throw the ball. They could add a new piece to the system that wasn't there for Derrick Henry. But like you said, it's not going to be the same system because he's not Derrick Henry.
Correct.
So you can't look at that. But yes, on top of that, I think he's going to be the lead back. I think he's going to be in the 13 to 20 range by end of season. I think he's a steal later in drafts because I think a lot of people are sleeping on him. Now, Chris, I'm waiting to hear what your thoughts are.
Yes, James, I got something else on that. For me, I don't trust Mike Davis as the RB1 in Atlanta. I think he's going to go off in the beginning parts of the season, but he's going to falter late because, let's face it, Atlanta is still not a good team with or without Julio Jones.
Yeah.
The O-line ranking
I can see that.
For Atlanta last year, I think was around the 21 spot, and it's only gotten worse this year. The lack of competition could raise him and make him an asset. I don't see him being anything more than an RB3 this season. Part of the reason why he was successful last year was mainly that Carolina didn't change the running scheme when Christian McCaffrey went down. The Falcons being a pass-first offense that doesn't tend to pass to its RBs. Added to that the weapon that they have of Kyle Pitts. Russell Gage might take some of the snaps that Julio had. You do got a bit of a point there with the fact that he is going to catch some balls out of the backfield with the Julio Jones departure. But between weeks 6 and 16 last season, Mike Davis with the Carolina backfield catching balls like McCaffrey, averaged about 7.76 fantasy points per game, excluding the week 14 outlier in Denver, where I think he went off for 20-something points. And to me, those aren't trustworthy numbers from a running back who carried the load in Carolina. Buy at your own peril. Mike Davis is one of the biggest what-ifs this season. I hate that bell.
No, he's going to be
and
fine.
everyone listening,
Just take
that's
him,
Nick's
go get
bell.
him.
And when I see that
What
bell,
bell?
I'm going to smash that bell.
I didn't hear
Oh
a
my
bell. What are you
God,
talking
that
about?
That bell is to keep you guys contained. We got to stick to, our time limits. It's letting you know that we're close.
Well, can you hit it on James a couple times there? I think he went over his time.
He definitely went
He's
over.
right.
He
I
always
did
does.
go
It's
over,
fine.
but
Dinging that
I needed
thing
to just
on
give a
me.
little bit more points to the fans so they know that I'm right because
Hey,
you're
well.
obviously not. That's he's going to be a bottom end RB2. Don't worry about it.
All right. Well, I'm excited to see what does happen with Mike Davis and see which one of you are right. But let's head into our second topic where we're going to be talking about the AFC North. We're heading to the Cincinnati Bengals, and we're talking about RB Joe Mixon. Can we trust Joe Mixon this year as a 3-down workhorse? Chris, what do you think about Joe Mixon being a workhorse?
I'm going to go with no on this one. Joe Mixon has yet to play consecutive 16-game seasons. Durability is a bit of an issue. Healthy, Joe Mixon can perform as an RB1. We've seen it that you want in fantasy. But I think for this guy, mostly it's a fallacy. It's just one of those things that you hope are going to happen. You hitch your wagon to this guy year in and year out, hoping that he's going to take you to the next spot, but he just comes up short. He comes up short. Last year, at the beginning of the season, everyone thought he was putting up RB1 numbers, but when you really break it down, he wasn't putting up RB1 numbers. The bulk of the carries and the passing work, he should have been putting up RB1 numbers game in and game out. And given that with the fact that when he went down, Samaje Perine stepped up in his role down the stretch, actually averaging more yards than Joe Mixon during that time. Nick, do you have that yards per carry average for these guys?
Yeah, Samaje Perine actually averaged 4.8 yards per carry, and Mixon only averaged 3.6 yards per carry on the season.
So yeah, I think that the Cincinnati Bengals know they have something that can relieve the workload of Joe Mixon in Samaje Perine, therefore cutting down his workload, giving him the chance to stay healthy for the 16 or 17 games in the season. Because let's face it, the Bengals are better with a healthy Joe Mixon. I think his durability is a bit of an issue, and the fact that the coaching staff will be a little hesitant to give him a full workload will bring him down, get in the range of like RB 12 to 15 when the year's over.
So that durability you talk about, you mentioned that a couple of times there. I have an issue with the durability you speak of because a lot of people are giving him the
Not
injury-prone
injury-prone.
tag. A lot of
Never
people are
said
saying like
injury-prone.
you are. I didn't say you said that. I said a lot of people, not you. But that is being what's passed around there is that he can't function, get through a whole season for what he is. Nick, do you have those stats on the injuries of what he has
I
in
do.
the past?
So Joe Mixon missed 2 games as a rookie in 2017 due to a concussion. Then he missed 2 more games in 2018 after undergoing a minor arthroscopic knee surgery.
It's a tricky one, eh, Nick?
Yeah, it's a
Right.
big word.
And then last season he missed 10 games with a foot injury. So, the 3 seasons before he missed 4 games in 3 seasons. I mean, that doesn't really show me anything to be really worried about injuries. Yes, last season was a one-off. I personally think he was healthy before the season was done. I just think that because Burrow was out, because they didn't really have a chance, they didn't really want to win games at that point. They just figured, let's let him heal up and stay off and go from there. Especially since they put so much money into him for this season coming because they were hoping to get better, which I think they did in the draft as well, and I think they are going to be a better team. I also think that there's nobody there. You mentioned Pirine as the backup. Okay, yeah, he's there, but is he really a threat to
Yes.
his carries?
Yeah, of course
He's
he
not
is.
a
They're
threat to
definitely
his
going to lessen his
carries. No.
workload. They're not going to
No,
feed him
he's
the
not.
ball like they were last season. He's definitely a threat to his carries.
They're not going to feed him like they did last season. You're right. And at the beginning of the season, Nick, what were the numbers on what he was doing at the beginning of those 6 games
Yeah,
before
he
he got
had
hurt?
119 carries over those 6 games, 19.8 per game. He even was catching more than Gio Bernard at the time at 21 catches to Gio's 16, and he averaged 14.8 fantasy points per game.
Right. Okay. And I get Chris was saying that those aren't RB1 numbers because the 14.8 is not huge. I mean, it's still double digits. It's great. It would have put him on pace to finish within the top 10, I believe, by the end of the season. But he's right. It's not numbers that maybe a Christian McCaffrey would have put up or Saquon Barkley had they been healthy or whatnot that they normally do. I think this season's going to be the difference, though.
Every
They just
season with
added
Joe
a
Mixon,
key
though.
wide
Every
receiver in the
season it's
draft.
the same old thing. Next season for Joe Mixon's going to
Yes,
be the year.
yes.
This is going to be the
There-
year.
You
This
have
is
to have
gonna
a
be
little
the
bit of hope. Yes, you
hope.
mentioned
There's
that.
hope.
I agree.
Go
There's
try
a
to
little
pay your
bit of
mortgage
hope.
with your hope.
It's going
gonna
to
laugh at you.
happen this year.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't. You're right. I get it. You can't pay that. But this year's the hope year. This is the year he
Sounded like
puts
a
it all
true
together.
Dallas
This is the
Cowboys
year.
fan.
He's got Chase.
Okay.
He's got
All guys
Higgins.
gonna
He's
be
got
taking
all
the
the
ball
options
away
on
from
the
his
outside.
hands.
They're going to use those guys. No, those are the guys that are going to go spread it deep, and he's going to be able to run the ball and have so much fun. He will be a top 10 running back end of season if he stays healthy.
Thank you. You just proved my point. Thank you.
That's a big if.
Thank you.
For my fantasy team's sake, I hope he is, and I hope you're right, James. I have him on my fantasy team, so I kind of want him to be that.
I will be. Perfect.
Just end it there. Okay,
Just end it there.
So let's see what happens to Joe Mixon. But let's go to our next topic. We're staying in the AFC, but we're going to the East. We're talking about Miami Dolphins running back Myles Gaskin. Is Myles Gaskin a running back that you are targeting this season? And can he be trusted as the RB1 in Miami? Chris, do you trust Myles Gaskin right now?
Yes, and as a Myles Gaskin owner, I couldn't be happier that the Miami Dolphins didn't really draft anybody to take from his snap percentage or his job. They did sign Malcolm Brown from the Rams, but Malcolm Brown could barely beat out Darrell Henderson, so I'm not too worried about him siphoning carries from Myles Gaskin. From week 1 to week 8 last season, Myles was averaging 70% of the snap shares, rushing the ball 89 times and seeing 39 targets in the passing game. Not to forget his semifinal and final output for fantasy players last season in the championship rounds. Nick, do you have those numbers from Myles Gaskin from those 2 games for me?
I do. So Gaskin had 33.9 fantasy points in the semifinals and 17.7 fantasy points in the finals.
So if he can stay healthy like any other player in the NFL, any other running back, I mean, that's a blanket statement for all these guys. He'll probably see the same amount of snap share, if not more, getting a bit more of an uptick. But if Myles can perform early and fend off Salvin Ahmed and Malcolm Brown, he can definitely be a guy that I will trust in the Miami backfield.
Chris, I just wanted to point out that sounded like you were hoping a little bit there. Just
No,
wanted to.
no hope. Solid facts and numbers in that one.
I don't know, a little bit of hope on the if he doesn't get hurt and if he can this.
Your last two arguments are just based on hope between Mike Davis and Joe Mixon. So let's hear the hope you have for Myles Gaskin.
I actually am agreeing with you, so to speak, this time. I know it's not often that we agree, but I am definitely agreeing with you, but I'm a little skeptical. Those numbers are fantastic. I think he finished amazing. He helped me in, I think, 2 championships last season. He also helped me in 2 big trades with the same person last season.
No, 2 different people, but you traded it twice.
Well, yeah, right.
Exactly.
So,
but they pretty much could be the same person.
Yeah, it was whatever. Way. But anyways, yes. So, but yes, he did. He was fantastic. He was great down the stretch, and he is the guy there. You're right. But what I'm a little worried about, and what kind of throws me off a little bit, is the team itself. Last season, they were in shambles. They started with Fitzmagic, then they went to Tua, then they went back to Fitzmagic. They really didn't have an identity. They're hoping to build one this year. Is Tua the guy? I don't know if Tua's the guy yet. I didn't see enough out of him last season, and that kind of scared me a little bit as to what can he do? Is he going to run the ball a little bit more this season and take away from Gaskin? Is he going to throw the ball more because now he has weapons to throw the ball to? They added some really big pieces on the wide receiver side for him to throw the ball more to, which they're hoping he does. So that could take a little bit away from him as well. And then, as much as I'd love to say the other backs aren't really significant, Ahmad was someone that they actually really favored when they got him. And he's someone that I've heard in the circles that Miami's very happy with, and they're hoping he takes a bigger role. I hope that doesn't happen because I do have Gaskin in a few leagues just like you do, but that does also scare me as well. So as much as I agree with you and as much as I think, yes, he should be the lead guy and he's going to do well this season, there's just a part of me that's a little bit like, I don't know if I want to trust it 110% yet. That's my problem.
I get it. I think you got to temper the argument, though, of the whole Tua thing, because we always have to take into effect the lack of OTAs and training camps last year.
Yeah.
Tua's even come out to say that he didn't know the full playbook. So I think that was part of the reason why they bounced back and forth between QBs.
I hope he's watching the tape, though, not like another running back, quarterback we know, right? That's
Jamarcus Russell. Yeah. So I'm hoping that with the full installment of the coaching scheme and the full grasp of the playbook, that Tua can take the next step. Therefore, high tides raise all ships, and everybody on that team gets a big boost in fantasy production.
Yeah, you hope. I like it.
All right. Just a few quick questions here. So, in talking Myles Gaskin, would you take Myles Gaskin or Kareem Hunt right now?
Myles Gaskin.
Myles Gaskin.
All right. Myles Gaskin or Damian Harris?
Myles Gaskin.
Myles Gaskin.
Okay. And the last one, Myles Gaskin or Ronald Jones?
Myles Gaskin.
Ooh. I like Ronald Jones if he is the lead back by the beginning of the season for that team. I just don't know if he's the lead back. Right now, it's Myles Gaskin because he's the lead back.
All right. So we're still pretty confident on Myles Gaskin. I like it. I like it. Okay. We'll see what happens in Miami and see if they really do trust Myles Gaskin as their RB1 or if these other guys can step up and take that role. Let's head into our last topic of the night, where we're having a sort of this guy versus that guy type of style topic. If you were drafting right now, who are you taking first? Is it Los Angeles Rams running back?
Yeah,
no.
I'm with him. I agree. Yeah.
That's not the question.
Oh, sorry.
If this was Family Feud, you'd get it wrong because he didn't let me finish the question, okay? That's just an X.
Yes, that's it. He gets a lot of X's.
All right, let me finish here. If you're drafting right now, who are you taking first? Los Angeles Rams running back Cam Akers or Kansas City Chiefs running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire? What are you guys picking?
All right, Nick, I'm going to take the lead on this one, and I'm going to take it because I drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire last year. I'm going to go with Clyde Edwards-Helaire again this year. He was the must-add player last year in almost all formats. He was the guy that everyone thought, yeah, go get him.
Not
this
everyone.
guy's going to lead off the chart. Yeah, not you, Chris.
Everyone.
I know you told me. I know I should have listened to you last year. I will admit it on air to everybody. I screwed up. Like, we can go back.
You're
It
gonna
cost
screw
me.
up again this year by picking Clyde.
No, no, no. This year's going to be different. Why is it going to be different? Well, okay. He had a horrible offensive line last year. You could see what happened in the Super Bowl when they got there, and poor Patrick Mahomes was running for his life all Super Bowl and couldn't go
I think
anywhere.
they eventually
couldn't do
had a
anything.
bad O-line. They didn't start off with a bad O-line.
Well, it wasn't great to begin with. So they've improved that O-line. I think this year that O-line is going to help him out immensely. Last year, he was doing really well from the beginning of the season. I remember I was so happy at the beginning, and I was telling you that you were wrong, and then it all went to shambles. Nick, in those first six games, how well was he doing?
Yeah, he was actually averaging 15.1 PPR fantasy points per game in those 6 games.
That's right. And those 6 weeks, I believe he was RB12. If he would have kept that up, it would have been a great season throughout. Unfortunately, after week 6, KC decided to add Le'Veon Bell. I'm not sure why, and now he hates Andy Reid, so that's a whole other story. Then they decided to give more of a workload to Darrell Williams, and then he got hurt. Out for a few games. He never really got a chance to kind of get up there and do anything. I remember the first few games he was having goal line troubles on trying to get into the end zone, which was also a factor. I'm going to say it was because of the O-line. I know Chris is going to say, no, you can't really say that, but that's what I'm going to go with. And I think with the improved goal line, I think it'll be better. So why should you trust him this year? Well, like I said, that improved O-line is one. Le'Veon Bell's gone. Williams is still there, and they added Jerick McKinnon, but I don't think those two guys are anything you need to worry about. I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a better back than last year. He will be a better back. He's going to get a lot more points than he did last year. Overall, he finished in the 20s, I believe, in most formats. He's going to be higher than that. I know a lot of people are going to be sleeping on him. Some may still take a chance in some dynasty leagues on him because of the age and where he is. But if you're getting him in, anywhere later than round 3, he's a steal across the board, and I think he'll do better than Akers.
All great points, James. But given the fact that
Perfect.
Cam Akers is going to be the workhorse running back in LA, and CEH, the scheme that they run in Kansas City, is not going to favor him.
Okay.
In an interview with Kevin Modesti of the LA Times, Coach McVay has been quoted as saying that Cam Akers is obviously a great runner. He's got the ability as a pass catcher. They're going to put him in the backfield out into the receiving location. They can put him anywhere on the field, and there's no limitations this year, but we'll see how that comes to life.
Didn't they say that last year too?
No, they didn't. But given the fact that
I'm pretty sure they were going to get him to
when the
go.
Rams finally gave him the primary back role that James says that they were talking about, he averaged 21.5 carries, 2.8 targets per game while playing 60% of the snaps in the last 4 games of the regular season. Now the Rams have added Stafford, who ranks 4th amongst active QBs that target the running back at 22.6%, creating fantasy gems like guys out of Theo Riddick, who is basically a nobody when Stafford left. Nick, can you give me the Theo Riddick numbers,
Still a
please?
nobody.
In that season there, he averaged 16.2 fantasy points per game, had a total of 161.6 fantasy points on the year, and was ranked RB25.
Did you just drop Theo Riddick on me with fantasy points from him? Seriously?
Yeah.
Of all
I'm
players?
using it as a
Theo
measuring
Riddick.
stick to
Who else
show
was
you.
on that team with
Calvin
Theo Riddick?
Johnson.
Who else was
Calvin
there?
Johnson was there.
Okay. Who was getting triple teamed,
and
so
still
he
catching
wasn't
the
there. He
ball,
was still probably
still
catching
getting
the ball.
1,000
Yeah, of
yards.
course. And who's
But
the other
what
running
I'm
back that
showing
they were
you,
that
James,
they-
it's not about who's in the backfield. It's the fact that the quarterback throwing the ball targets the running back.
But he only
Therefore,
he
Cam
only
Akers
had
is going to
Calvin
be
Johnson.
heavily targeted.
No, but did you see the weapons that Stafford has?
is a great downfield
he's got
passer. He's one of the
4
best.
or 5.
And with that, given the fact that he's one of the
not
short
gonna need to
field
throw
passers.
to Akers. No,
Yes.
he's just going to throw it
Yes.
up to the wide
No.
receivers and the
No.
tight end he has. He doesn't need to
No.
throw it to
Yes,
Akers.
he's gonna throw it
Akers
to
isn't going to
Akers.
get that.
The RB extractions in
No.
LA. Malcolm Brown's gone in
No.
Miami, and there's basically no competition. There's a reason why
Henderson is
He's not
competition.
even competition for Malcolm Brown.
He
No.
will be.
I've heard
He
that
will
every
be.
year. Given the fact with all that, and the reason why the price tag on Cam Akers is higher than CEH is because everyone except James believes that Cam Akers is going to have a better season.
And everyone will be wrong then.
All right. You guys are done. I really do kind of hope that CH doesn't have a good year just so I can see James being wrong 0 for 2.
Again?
But, I mean, he does have these suspicions sometimes. It's possible.
Yeah. There's that hope again. You and Chris like the hope.
No,
Okay.
it's no hope. You're going to be wrong again.
Well, that's our show for the night. Thank you for tuning in and listening. Make sure to check out our next episodes wherever you stream your podcast, as well as on YouTube. As well, don't forget to check us out on social media for even more content to help you win your fantasy football seasons. You can find us on Instagram at The Option Podcast, on Twitter at The Option Pod, and on TikTok at The Option Fantasy Football. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Take care.
Fantasy football is about choices. Will it be James's expertise or Chris's insight? The choice is in your hands. We give you the option.